In South Africa, it's a particular moth. This over here. So unlike a European garden, we encourage people to use the lawns. If you go to Europe, it's, don't walk on the lawns. So people have picnics and birthday parties and things like that. But this lovely tree here, what's left of it, used to be a great meeting place for families coming into the gardens, because it was a lovely great big oak tree, an American white oak from the northeast of the United States, and it was planted, we think, in about 1860, and it collapsed New Year 2019-2020. I think it was on the 30th of December actually. And because it was such a popular tree and so well known, they decided to leave sort of what was there. That's basically how it fell. They rearranged it just slightly. And you can see how they've cut seats and things. So it's there for people to sit on, have picnics, play around on.
Whoever thought about this is brilliant.
It is, and you can see the fungi. So it shows people how plants decompose and how it's important to leave dead plants, trees particularly, as is like that. But Melbourne. So this is the oak lawn, covered in oak trees from around. So we're not going to put another one back from the northeast United States. It won't cope with our hotter climate. But we've planted 1, 2, 3 new oaks. Has a tremendous number of oak trees. And they're going to deal much better with our changing climate. So as they've done a succession plan with all the trees in the gardens. So as trees, because they don't live forever, but as trees die, they'll be replaced with something similar, but it might be something that's better able to cope with a hotter, drier climate. So the look of the gardens will stay the same, and this is very much a European feel. It's gorgeous leaves. So they'll keep doing that, but with plants that can cope with the changing climate. The mycologists, which are the people who study fungi, do work up in there. And interestingly, they're still discovering masses of new varieties and types. Apparently, we've only named and discovered a tiny fraction of the fungi around Australia. And we do have signs at times that we don't pick the mushrooms, because oak trees, death cap mushrooms, like to live under oak trees. Hues and around we've had over the last few months, you can die from mushrooms.
Oh, that. Oh yeah, that was a very famous.
Oops. A lot of Queensland trees here, and guilfoyle love these trees, and that is such a beautiful shape. But we walk, when you see anything every day, you don't see it. You understand me? And as I was coming down yesterday, someone said, "Oh, what's that?" Yep, Moreton Bay fruit. Between the First and Second World War, so back in the 1920s and 1930s, they didn't have, well, we still don't, we only have 14 and a half gardeners, but they didn't have much manpower then, so they planted that to fill in. And it's all flowered this year, and after bamboo flowers apparently, it dies. And when it flowers, just about all of it flowers. Are we right? Yep. All of it flowers at once. So we all learned, we had no idea. So they will replace with something else, but not bamboo. So a lot of the bamboo throughout the gardens has suddenly died.
I didn't know that bamboos bear flowers.
No. Apparently they only flower about once every 100 years, and then they die. So depending how old you are, you might never have seen it.
Yes.
Sometimes I feel like I'm it's like a sort of so it is like a because with that design by William Guilfoyle, who took over from the Baron in 1870s. This is the design. He wanted wide paths with curves so that people had to actually walk into the gardens to see what was there. He wanted a surprise around every corner. So you have to think, okay, which way to go? You can't see. But this oak tree was planted by William Guilfoyle in 1873. It's an Algerian oak. It's certainly not the biggest oak tree in the garden, but it's very important to us. So that was when he became the director. So that's Guilfoyle's oak, and the gate there was his back gate into his director's residence. And we'll see it at the house as we go round. It's now called Gardens House, and it's leased to catering companies. So we're going to go down what we call the director's tunnel, because the directors could come out there and walk down here. And we've got another South African plant. The clivias are flowering at the moment. They love dry shade. Clivias or clivias, depending how you like your botanical Latin. We have camellias down here. We've got about 900 camellias growing around the garden. Camellia collections, but the camellias down here are mainly modern cultivars named after prominent Victorians. That's quite a good one there. Oh, that's a nice one. So it's this is Harry Withers, and that's what we call a formal double. Camellias come in different shapes and sizes and forms, so this is a formal double. Gorgeous pink. And Harry Withers here is growing next to Bob Withers. Bob Withers was her husband in real life. He was a famous camellia breeder, a grower of camellias, and when he died, Harry Withers came. She helped the gardens plant this one, so they put the two of them together, which I find lovely as a couple. So this is a bit more blousy. It's a more open, what we call the peony form, but again a lovely pink. So, and that's that one called the. Ooh, there's a prickly form. This is all trees. This is the cockies sit up the top of this one. Another Queensland tree, Agathis robusta. Queensland, and it's the cousin of the patterned bark. They're rainforest trees from Queensland, and yet they grow very happily in Melbourne. But beautiful trees. There's quite a lot of them around the garden. Beautiful down to timber. Sort of thing that will be planted as they die, because rhododendrons grow much better in the dandenongs outside Melbourne, where it's colder and damper. Surreptitiously pinch a leaf. It will get plenty more, because that tends to overhang the plant path.
That's from Arizona.
It is. New Mexico, Arizona. Now that one's smelling like mint, but it's one of the common names is passion fruit marigold, and it usually has a really passion fruit scent, but that's more minty today. It's funny.
I can smell the passion fruit.
And it grows up, and I guess the name would suggest.
Oh my God, that's beautiful.
It's milk.
Yeah, yes, it's funny because perhaps as it matures, it gets more passion fruity, and it's with the marigold. It has a lovely orange marigold flower.
It's gorgeous.
Gardens House, we can see. So that was the director's residence. It was built for Baron von Muller in the 1850s. First of all, the downstairs bit, and then they put on the top bit with the veranda, and then Guilfoyle took over and front. So double the size. But that's where the directors of the gardens lived till about 1990. And then it was in disrepair. So, first thought was, we pull it down. But no, fortunately, it's on the National Trust list. It's now leased to a catering company. So you can have functions there, weddings, dinner parties. We've had 2 family weddings there. It's a lovely spot for a wedding. And you get up on the balcony there, and you can look across the gardens, sort of, if we come just down here, you can see across the gardens.
Oh, yeah.
And you can understand, sit up there for your morning coffee as director, just how you feel. And you can also get an understanding here as to why this site was chosen for the gardens. And it was Victoria's first governor, Charles Latrobe, who chose the site. We have a lot to thank him for. I don't think he gets enough press. I'm a Latrobe fan. But he went back, came out on his little horse across the river, went back to the committee back in 1842 and said, I've found the spot for a botanic gardens, a veritable Eden. And it's a north-facing amphitheatre. It's north with water running through it. And you can see how we go it's a corona. They do love to you can see how we go down to the water and back up the other side. So it gives us a lovely topography so we can get microclimates, which is really, really nice. One in the back. So Moonlight Cinemas held up on that eastern lawn going up the other side. Very popular, but because we had a wet spring last year, La Nina, mosquitoes were shocking. So if you come to Moonlight Cinema, bring your Aerogard. Oh, yes. So we might come down this way and we'll go down to the sensory garden, which is, again, a wonderful place to sit and apartment building for the birds. And they can be very active around there. But one reason we have the grasses, and there's a little rhododendron, that they become, oh, here we go.
Oh, yeah.
So they actually grow to be this size.
They edible?
I did do research on this tree years ago.
Yeah.
Way back. I can't remember. I don't know. You're welcome to research Costa Rican holly.
Okay.
Costa Rican, Venezuelan holly. Has it got the sign's over there. Yeah. If you want the botanical name, that's right. Because everyone used to walk past and say, "What's that?" So I tried to find out.
Is that green? Is that a root coming off the tree there? Is it? No.
No, it's a holding it up.
Oh, it's holding it up.
Because you can see it's beautiful. Yeah. The colour is lovely. So it's from Kashmir again. Growing happily in Melbourne.
That's gorgeous, isn't it?
From the Himalayas. So it is lovely. I love it. So I would say it's certainly within the last 15 or 20 years. It's not more than, certainly not more than 20 years. Probably I could buy the then director of Kew Gardens. There's another one of those erythrinas. Quietly made that slightly bigger.
Coral tree. This way.
Yes, that was back where you first joined us. We were by the erythrina up there, the one that's been cut off, and it's a coxcomb coral tree, erythrina from South America. So there's a big one up by the Bavarian. And just if we stand in the right spot, make the most of views.
Yes.
And he was a bit of an artist, and so he'd do a little painting before he planted what he thought he'd plant. And the gardens are designed in the English landscape tradition, what they call picturesque, gardenesque, where you plant so it looks like nature, but you're improving on nature. And he used a mess, so he had a massive plant, and then void, which was the grasses and the water. So it's used. And there we go, we've got our red gum there again, and we're looking through that palm to the spire of St Ignatius on Richmond Hill, Church Street, Richmond Hill. So it depends where you live in Melbourne, if you ever go up there. But that's St Ignatius. Interestingly, that was built in the 1870s, same time as St Patrick's, late 1870s. St Patrick's, St Ignatius and Government House, all by the same architect, William Wardell. And when the spire was put on there, that was the tallest building, tallest structure in Australia. Because the spire didn't go on to St Patrick's after that. A lot of the churches, they were built as far as the tower, but they didn't have the final spire on top. And it wasn't there in Guilfoyle's lifetime. The church was, but not the spire, because Guilfoyle died in 1910, I think it was, or thereabouts. So the spire was. So when he did his paintings, he could have had St Ignatius with no spire. But never mind. But so he would paint and then plant, and that's what he would have been picturing this to become like. So good. And this is one to watch for people who come in regularly. This is the firewheel tree from Queensland. So that's going to be flowering after Christmas, I think. It's called a firewheel tree because it's, Catherine wheel fireworks and things, they sort of are round and they will go off, because it's got a round flower with all the stamens coming out all around it. It's very, very pretty. I haven't got a photo of it, unfortunately, and the lorikeets love them. So during summer, if you're walking through the gardens, keep a look out for that one. Those South African plants everywhere. That's a tree aloe. So that's a big aloe. So you won't be getting your aloe vera from this one, it's a bit tall. That's a tree aloe.
It's an aloe vera tree.
And so it's yeah, that's a good way to put it. This isn't flowering, and one of the common names is elephant's tongue. So you can see. Now I've never seen an elephant's tongue. I've never told them to say but I imagine it's probably quite descriptive. Die down, and then the leaves. So the leaves are there for the rest of the year. And there's another. We did have. I don't know if we did have a fascinating plant from. I think it was from Namibia, Velvitzia, which it has big long leaves like that. Same thing.
Yes, same
Lovely.
concept, same concept.
Oh, I love it. Thank you.
Yeah.
And these are all these succulents.
Succulents.
Succulents are wonderful. Rupert Murdoch he's 92, for heavens.
He's old.
I don't want to get political, but I don't approve of the Murdoch thing. But this tree was planted by his mother, Dame Elizabeth Murdoch. Now, Dame Elizabeth couldn't have been more different from her son. That's all we can say. And she was a great benefactor of gardens, the arts. She was patron here for a while. So she was a very important philanthropist, and she provided a lot of money here for the gardens. So this is an araucaria. It's from South America. Ooh, prickly leaves. Prickly, prickly, prickly. And araucarias are interesting. You see the tall tree through there?
Yes.
With the dome top. That's a bunya pine. And this is another bunya pine. We'll go down and talk to it. And so the araucarias were on the planet in Jurassic times, time of the dinosaurs. They're dinosaur trees. And they were the conifers, they have cones that predate the northern hemisphere pine needle trees. And these are hard and prickly leaves. And we'll check out the bunya pine down there. Dinosaurs roamed, so it was to make them less palatable for the dinosaurs. That's my story. Yeah. On this one, as I say, they're conifers. Let's come and touch the tree again carefully. Yeah.
They're beautiful. Did you say these were during Jurassic times?
Yes, the Araucariaceae family goes back to Jurassic times. As you can see, this was planted in 1879. We've got a lot of them around the gardens. Guilfoyle love them. They're from Queensland. the Bunya Mountains in Queensland. And these are the male cones, they're dropping at the moment. So they only fruit every 2 to 3 years. And you get the male cones down low, the female cones up high, and about 10 kilos.
Oh, really?
And do you use pine nuts in your cooking?
We do.
Yep, so those are mainly from the Italian stone pine. Now the nuts out of the bunya cone, bunya nuts are like, huge, like big walnuts in size. And they were a very important food source for the original inhabitants of those areas. And they're still an important food source. And they can be cooked, they can be ground like flour. They're sort of a very starchy, so very important food. And it was part of a young boy's initiation to climb the tree. Now you felt the leaves.
Prickly.
And in the Bunya Mountains you can see trees which have the old footholds still cut in them. So again, Queensland tree, absolutely striking. You'll see them a lot in big parks and gardens all around the east coast certainly. But yes, they're actually from Queensland. So maths are
Fibonacci.
that's I can never remember
What's it called?
The
Fibonacci.
Fibonacci. I know it begins with an
Is
F.
that what this is?
You can see that. You can see it on a lot of
Yeah,
these
you can.
succulents.
Oh my god.
And with these, and it's amazing. But I need to go.
I think yin yoga is probably a good one to do.
This was developed. One of the benefits of Melbourne's lockdowns during COVID. So this was developed during 2020 because the gardens were actually closed for a number of months, unfortunately. And then when it reopened, we had our new sensory garden, and it's a place for people to go and sit and chill. We've got scented plants. We've got colour, scent, sort of sound. So different to scented. Okay, we've got. All the noise of the birds. There's a big blackbird. A lot of them. Yeah, you see it there, and I think that's what's making all the other birds unhappy. You can hear an awful lot going on up there, or else
Intruder.
unless it's the black cockatoos, but they're usually flying over and whistling. It's the black cockatoos. They usually keep flying,
Understand. Yeah.
and they come over with that high whistle. I haven't seen them in a tree like that before. So yeah, those are the black cockatoos. Yeah, they tell what So this tree here, all December 2020. 3 years ago. 3 or 4 years ago. So now we've got the corellas up there and the black cockatoos down there. Oh, here's another one of those passion fruit marigolds.
Oh,
the
they're
Tagatis.
beautiful. I love that.
I've got no idea what that is. Epium, of course. Rosemary. So a lot of the leaves and plants are scented. Like chocolate. Oh, yes, yeah. We'll just come through here so this little group can get past. And we've got thyme here. Oh, yeah, you can rub your
on
fingers
our
through.
side. And that's sweet pea, right?
Yeah, which are horrible for allergies.
Is it?
I don't want to go anywhere near it when they're flowering. I can't go into a house with cut sweet peas.
Oh, why? Just the
I just-
allergy? Oh, is
I
that-
stream.
Oh, wow. Okay, interesting.
Sneeze, runny eyes. Yep. So what we might do is find our way. We're down little steps here. So if everyone's happy with that, or we can go out there. And you've got salvias, of course, again with the leaves. Different colours. Sometimes everything's sort of orange, and I love it when you've got all the blues from the salvias. And Caledonians mainly have central trees. That's all right, yeah. Early morning sunlight. Steam comes down through Fern Gully into Central Lake, and the water moves into the main lake. We also have water tanks, so we try to be self-sufficient with our own water. So we capture storm water from around the streets, and it comes in and goes through various plants to filter out the impurities. So again, that goes back to the millennial droughts in the 2000s, where we started these fires. You know, it rains, they stop, and you think, okay, that's done, but they keep coming back.
Yeah.
Down on the lake, and that goes that way. You can even get a punt there, but I'll be going back up this way.
Oh wow, that's like a maiden, isn't it? That's amazing.
There's quite a few
Oh,
there,
wow,
but they're
noisy.
making a lot of noise.
Oh, look at them. Oh wow.
They're big, because usually they're flying.
That's amazing. Yeah. That is rare to see it going like that. They're
So you've got
hilarious.
my camera's not good enough on that. Have you got?
It's a
Because my daughter says I need a Google camera. They've got good cameras. A Google phone, I mean.
yeah.
That's what I meant to ask, what sort of phone.
So 20x zoom.
Ah, okay, yeah. Because I can zoom, but this is a iPhone 7, I think. Very out of date. But it does. Oh, they're moving on. I won't even try. Just this
Give a hug.
deck around it, because people used to walk in and want to hug it and touch it. It's
feel
the
the energy.
biggest tree in bulk in the gardens. It's
Right.
not the tallest.
Yeah.
The tallest tree is the hoop pine. You can just see the funny top knot through there, which is
yeah.
another of the Aracarias from Queensland. It's 38 metres. This is, I think, now 32 or 34. It lost its top in a storm. It used to be the tallest. But it's a Montezuma cypress, a taxodium from the United States, Texas, Mexico. Hence the Montezuma name. Montezuma's revenge on the conquistadors. I love it. To me, it looks like the top of an apple pie, that bark.
Yeah,
But
beautiful.
it
actually.
took, on a walk I did with a group of women earlier this year, it took 8 of them to hold hands around it.
8.
So I describe it as 8 women round.
Oh, I love it. That's great.
Diameter. Wow. That's a bonus. This is. No, as I say, they've at just at this time of year we get them flying over in a whistling group. But we're having a party. And they're certainly enjoying them. So, oh, now they're coming up here. Yeah, no, my phone's not good enough. So all of these, it is very good. Woo. Okay, things dropping down. There's certainly main camellia collections, which are the mainly species camellias. This is where we came down, so we are retracing our steps just back up here. And then we might go back over the oak lawn. So on this one.
Is this more thicker than that one? I mean, this one looks more thicker. I don't know.
So we'll come back one a branch. If you're happy to come over. Yep. Everyone all right on the grass? It's not under one of these oak trees. And you're probably aware that trees actually talk to each other under grass. Little microorganisms, different fungi and things like that. And so where you get a group of trees, a whole lot of trees of the same species, one will alert another if they're attacked by pests or cockatoos perhaps. And it's amazing. So I actually, when I'm walking over here, like to picture the trees talking to each other as I'm walking over. But yes, to lie under one of these trees and look up through the branches. This is just a hybrid oak. We call it the lightning oak. Okay. 1974, I think it was, but in the 70s. So it was hit by lightning, and you can see it has got cables holding it together, and they've recently roped it off. They're probably a little bit concerned about it. But again, they don't want people sitting up with
It
it.
was hit by lightning.
It was hit by lightning. You can see a bit of the scar down the trunk more on the other side, actually. But it survived.
Yeah,
It's
beautiful.
pretty excellent.
A huge. Oh wow.
Which is a tree from the United States. It's an old tree, and you can see how the branches are all growing to the south in the other direction. There's the newer one coming this way. Because up until, I have to check my dates on this, it doesn't really matter, about 2008, there used to be a great big oak tree in this whole area, and these two young oaks are children. They're baby locks. It was known as the Lady Lock oak tree. It was nearly 40 metres across.
Wow.
Its branches came right down to the ground, and it split, rather like the white oak, split in half on its 117th birthday.
Oh. This
Just
is bang.
middle of the
Wow,
road.
interesting.
They just had a school group under it, because schools used to come and do their
Yeah.
planting programs with our education services. They just had a school group under it.
Yeah, I wonder why just
Again,
random.
it had a little bit of, apparently, no one expected it,
Yeah.
gave no signs, but a bit of moisture got in, sort of at the top, and it had rotted down through.
Oh wow.
So the liquid amber grew that way. They were planted far too close together.
Yeah.
But these two are baby locks. So they're babies. Isn't it? So it keeps going. And this shows beautiful colours, reds and yellow. It's great. Children do sometimes climb on it. Like this, this is the grandparent tree. With the gentleman grandparents. They're picking some support. They do this. But you can see oak trees, particularly English oak, have these what we call knees and elbows, the branches are very long. And using oak trees in England, they could come thousands of thousands of cut down to build ships back right through. I think of this as the tree that colonised the world. Those little tiny, I hesitate to call them a ship because they're really little corks. Those little boats they used to sail around, mainly with oak, and if you could find the right branch, you didn't have to join it under the keel. It made it stronger.
Oh wow.
And the British Navy, like Admiral Nelson,